Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we was kind of bored the last couple of years when we dealt with the Ethnic Enrichment Festival, but this is a brand new day. This is 2022, and we got some special guests. But prior to that, we're going back to our remembrance and dialogue. Two icons, two gurus, a man and a woman, black man, black woman. Bill Russell, the first black NBA coach, died at the age of 88 years old. Born in Louisiana, no college gave him a scholarship until he landed a scholarship at San Francisco University, where he and Casey Jones won 2 national NCAA championships. It was told to me that Bill Russell also once owned a rubber plantation. Then it was told on me when the people wanted to tell him how great he was, he said that Baltimore was one of the most racist places he ever been. That was told to me, y'all. Now, Michelle Nichols, Star Trek, black woman, not a maid, but she was one of the leading actors. She was born in Illinois. She passed away at the age of 89. And that was announced all over the world, we think. And those are 2 people going to be greatly missed. Now, starting with today's show, the first of a 3-part series on the ethnic and what they say, commission, getting ready for the festival. So we have guests, persons that one I just met today, the other one I've been knowing a few years, you might say, and that's Mr. Wilson and Mr. Joe. You have to tell us from Zimbabwe. First, let's go back where Mr. Wilson is representing. What country do you represent, sir?
Well, I represent Indonesia. My wife is from Indonesia, and that's how we got involved with the Ethnic Commission. My wife came to the festival one day about 20 years ago and said, wait a minute, there's no Indonesian group here. And she started the Indonesian Commission, and we've been involved with the other 49, 50 other countries. And helping do a lot of outreach activities, and the biggest one we do for the public is the Ethnic Enrichment Festival coming up this August.
And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, the listeners, do we have Crystal on yet?
No, she can answer him soon.
Well, anyway, I'm going to say it. The Wilsons, in our language, had two fine daughters, okay? Both of them are taken away now. They're married now, and his son is working on his PhD now. They always talk about the motherland. We're talking about Africa. We're talking about Zimbabwe. And we have, he's going to tell us how he pronounced his name. Sir, introduce yourself to our listening public.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joel Mutuku. So it's my name. It's spelled Mutuku, and so pronounced. It's pretty simple spelling. The English way is pronounced Mutuku, and I am from Zimbabwe, and representing Zimbabwe for the first year of the commission for the festival this year. The first time we're participating in the festival.
Normally, we ask the people what are the natural resources from their country, what is their diet and whatever. So why should we change? Should we start with Indonesia, Mr. Wilson?
Sure. Indonesia is the fourth largest country in the world, population-wise, and so they do a lot of labor. There's a lot of people there, and so there are a lot of factories, like sneaker factories and furniture factories. They also supply the world with lots of paper products because they have they hopefully will always have a lot of jungle there and trees. And they also it used to be part of OPEC. They have quite a bit of oil production in their country. And palm oil is a big industry.
Oh, let's go to the motherland, some people call Africa. What are the natural resources there that the man didn't steal from y'all?
So Zimbabwe is well known for gold, So when you talk Zimbabwe, just for viewers or the listeners that don't know, Zimbabwe is right by South Africa, and I think if you know about South Africa, it's known for diamonds. So Zimbabwe, by proximity, also has large, diamond resources. It's got coal, gold, platinum. Also a lot of farmland, but yeah, as far as natural resources, I think you'd say coal, diamonds, and platinum.
I know we spoke earlier, and you were saying that this year is your first year, but you're not a spring chicken to America. So you've been here over 20 years. Is that true?
Correct. Yeah. So I came here to Topeka for school, Washington University, about 20 years or so ago. And then I've been in Kansas City for over 10 years now, actually about 15 years, I think I've been here. So it's been, I'm familiar with the town, I'm familiar with, Kansas City in general. So, I'm not new to this area here, and I'm enjoying, and like I think, as was mentioned, my introduction to the festival was I've always attended the festival, not as a participant, just as an audience member. So I always, Zimbabwe was never included, and I always ask myself, why is that? And I've been always waiting for someone to start a Zimbabwean commission. And last year I decided, okay, why not me? Because we don't have that many Zimbabweans in the Kansas City area, at least not that I know of. There's a few, so this was a way of at least making it known that, there's other Zimbabweans out there for those who, maybe out there and just don't know about, what the community at large for Zimbabwe is.
Okay, we spoke about, we don't get to Mr. Wilson, but we spoke about you went to Washburn, a very noted college in Topeka, Kansas. What was your major, and what are you currently doing?
So my major was in business, marketing specifically. So that was what I did. My job is business related, but not in marketing. It's more on the finance side. I work for an investment advisory firm on the Kansas side in Overland Park. Been with them, I want to say about 8 years now. So I've been with them for quite a while. It's not really wasn't my focus when I was, for my degree, but it's business related, and I kind of just got into it by default, and kind of learned the process, or the business or the finance side or the investment side of business, and been there ever since.
Okay, academic-wise, Mr. Wilson, it's your opportunity to tell the people about yourself.
Well, I actually work for my wife. My wife's Indonesian, and she started an import-export business with Southeast Asian countries, mainly Indonesia, importing and exporting. She imported furniture, and she was exporting machinery parts. And so I'm involved with that. I help at the warehouse, distributing parts and things like that. Not real exciting, but at least it's fun to have international relations.
Go ahead.
Yep.
You can answer my next question. Go ahead.
I went to college up in Minnesota at McAllister College, which is well known for its internationalism. There's about 60 different countries represented at this small liberal arts school. Kofi Annan was a graduate, the old head of the UN a few years ago.
One thing I noticed for as long as I've been affiliated with the Ethnic Enrichment Festival and Commission, that most of the people on their board and people who are involved in this, one time it was about 65 countries, most of them are highly academia, or in my words, educated. And they draw from, they're not just any Joe Blow, if Joe Blow, not blaming Joe Blow by using that name, but they are very knowledgeable people that are part of the Ethnic Enrichment Commission. And that's not by accident, that's planned, isn't it?
Well, I think we're just excited to have people that want to talk about their countries, whether they're just really smart because they know about their country or they're well educated. But I think that's what the Ethnic Commission mission is to educate people here in Kansas City that there's many different people in the world, there's different countries to learn about, and maybe after coming to the festival, they don't know it, but they're a little smarter. They've been educated about 60 different countries, their food, their culture, their entertainment. Every time I talk to Joel, the other guest from Zimbabwe, I learn something new, and he's just such an interesting addition to the Ethnic Commission. I'm so proud to have him as a member.
Okay. Now, you got in the food. What is the primary diet of both countries?
In Indonesia, it is made up of 18,000 islands, and so they have a lot of fish and ocean products, snails and shrimp. They eat a lot of rice. They have a lot of rice paddy fields throughout the country. They have chicken. Usually, unlike in America, when you get a plate of food, you'll get a big pile of rice and just a small piece of chicken. So they do eat meat, but not a lot.
Okay, our good friend from Zimbabwe.
So in Zimbabwe, it's maize, and I don't know if any of your listeners are familiar with maize. If you're familiar with West African food is it's the same, but it's different in that it's made with the same ingredients, but it's made differently, so it tastes differently. So in Zimbabwe, we have what we call sadza, which is similar to a cornmeal. It's made with maize. It's hardened, like the way you make porridge, but it becomes hardened porridge, right? So it's called sadza, S-A-D-Z-A. And the way it's eaten is, eaten with stew, whether it's goat stew, beef stew. So typically what it is, you eat it with your hands, right? No, you can't really eat it with a fork because typically it's a hard paste that you take with your hands and then you put it in with, into the stew and then eat it that way. But that's the most common food over there. And obviously there's also a lot of rice-based food. Obviously we have goat meat. Goat meat is very big over there, as well as chicken and as well as beef.
Okay, we have a guy from the South on the line with one of the producers. We want him to join us. I know he's very inquisitive about different products and different things. So Mr. Fowlkes, would you join us?
Yes, I'm more than happy to. Welcome to our country, to both your guests, and gentleman from Indonesia. I almost had a chance to go to Indonesia, during the Obama administration. I was invited to go, part of a delegation, but ended up being paid because he's from that country also. And so, a little bit more. Indonesia has a lot of different families there, and that they have a lot of people there also, population-wise. What family are you from, there, sir? Going from Indonesia?
My wife is 100% Indonesian, and she is Javanese.
Okay.
It's the biggest ethnic group in Indonesia, but there's over 600 languages and 600 culture groups. But Java and Javanese is the biggest one. There's an Indonesian language that connects everyone together. It's a very simple language. So in public, people speak Indonesian, but when they go home, they usually speak their traditional language, Javanese or Sundanese or Sylvese. There's lots of different small languages. So she is a Javanese Indonesian.
And you yourself?
My relatives came over on the Mayflower.
Okay. Yes, sir. And I guess I know a little bit about Indonesia. Okay. Zimbabwe, and actually everybody loves their country, come to the diamond and stuff, research that you have there. But when you came to this country, how difficult, what was your most difficult thing you guys had to deal when you first got here?
Is that question to me, Zimbabwe?
Yes,
Okay, so
I think that what would be your biggest challenge, I should say?
Yeah, so in regards to when I came here, so I came here relatively young, so the adjustment really wasn't that much for me. And Zimbabwe in terms of countries, it's relatively young when you think about it. So Zimbabwe only got its independence in 1980. So when you think about it, in comparison to other countries, Zimbabwe is relatively young. So we were, like when I came here, a lot of the customs, as to say, in Zimbabwe were British customs, because Zimbabwe was still adjusting, from the old British rule. So coming here for me wasn't really that much of an adjustment. Typically, the school breakup, and I came, out of high school. So the way they do schools, there's a lot of 80%, of the people do boarding school. So you are used to being away from your family, from a young age, right? So when you come here, that adjustment, being away from your family and your friends, it's not that bad because you're used to being away from them. Now, obviously, it's different. You're divided by such, there's a big land, sea difference. You can talk to them, but they can't just come and get you. So it's for me, the adjustment really wasn't that much. The culture was, obviously different. I couldn't get used to the food because we don't have the same kind of food. So that was the biggest adjustment for me, just getting used to the type of food that we have over here. And obviously, the biggest thing for me was just the weather, because over there in Zimbabwe, it's fantastic year round. It gets hot, but it's not humid, So most people associate, Africa with heat. It's heat, but it's dry heat. So it's not as humid as it gets over here. It can be, 90, 100 degrees, but it's not humid, if you're in the shade, you're fine. So the adjustment weather-wise was big for me, but when you come over as a young person, I think the adjustment is so much easier versus if you come here a little bit older, because you're almost set in your ways and the adjustment becomes a little bit more difficult. So for me, the adjustment wasn't that hard. Obviously, the food, the weather, language. In Zimbabwe, English is widely spoken, so language was no barrier for me. We went to school and everybody, for the most part, spoke English, so there wasn't really a language barrier.
Okay,
We can't hear you, sir.
George, who was your biggest adjustment?
Go ahead and receive.
George? Oh, one from Indonesia, what was your biggest adjustment?
For my wife, it was trying to start a business as a female Asian. She felt she didn't like her accent. She thought her accent was holding her back. And I said, your accent is beautiful. But she tried, I think she took some classes at the community college to try and reduce her accent. But, you know, now when she talks to people, they say, I love your accent. It's beautiful. And it actually makes her unique and special. So that's one thing that happened to her. In business, sometimes just male and female get treated differently. So she was frustrated by that when she first started her business, just the way some females in business are treated not equal in a male world of business. But she's gotten over that. But yeah, in the food situation, or the climate situation, she came from a hot, humid country, so this weather was okay with her. She's not, but it's when that snowstorms come in the wintertime. She sometimes says, how can there be so much cold and so much wind? but she's happy. She's happy.
And what about yourself?
Me? I've lived in Kansas my whole life. So I'm used to, if it's not nice today, wait till tomorrow.
It sounds like St. Louis almost. And also, we've been joined by Crystal. How you doing, Crystal?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Life is good. MC, you want to introduce Crystal?
Okay, I don't know who Crystal is. She's going to have to tell us. Who are you, Crystal?
Okay, well, I am an artist. I paint. I love radio. And I'm for the community in different aspects with KCOG, keeping communities on guard. So I'm really active in the community. Getting to know different people is my thing.
Well, we have the two gentlemen from Zimbabwe and also Indonesia. If they would give a little brief introduction to bring Crystal kind of up to date, if you can, gentlemen.
Sure. I'll start. My name is Jim Wilson. My wife, Marty, is from Indonesia, and we got involved with community events through the Ethnic Enrichment Commission here in Kansas City, which has 60 different country groups that get together and do community activities like outreach in schools. And our biggest event is the Ethnic Festival that comes up in this month, 19, 20, 21 August, at one of the biggest parks in Kansas City, Swope Park. And we pull thousands of people into this festival that just gets Kansas Cityans in touch with the diversity of Kansas City. There's so many people from other countries in Kansas City. And a lot of people don't know they're here because they live in their own little cozy neighborhood. Then they come out to the festival and say, wow, there's Egypt right next to Israel, and they're sharing forks and napkins and smiling. And then over here is Bolivia, and then over here is Korea. And, I mean, it's for me, it's so fun to see so many people happy and getting along. Everybody likes to eat, and everybody likes to watch unique entertainment. And it's just such a fun event to be involved with, and I think it's helping Kansas City community grow and making everybody in Kansas City feel like, hey, I've got a place here. This is great, you know?
Absolutely. I do have a question for you, Jim, if you don't mind.
Sure, anything, Crystal.
Well, I wanted to know what has been the greatest experience in the Ethnic Enrichment Festival?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I've kind of been helping manage it. It's a volunteer gig, so I mean, it's a big job. And my very favorite memory that I have is when somebody from rural Kansas, about 6 hours west of Kansas City, drove all the way with her family to the festival and came to me. I was standing by the exit gate, and she didn't know who I was. And she came over to me and said, wow, this is really fun. And she had food she was taking home because she couldn't fit any more food in her stomach. She said it was so good. And then when she got to the gate, she asked me if she could share her food with me. And I thought, I just couldn't believe it. It was so sweet of someone to share their food to somebody they didn't have any idea who I was.
Yeah.
And so my motto is, you know, it's so nice to see people smiling when they come in. But the neatest thing is they're still smiling when they came out. You know, it's such a happy uniting thing. I think it's just, for me, I don't think I'll ever be able to quit it. It's just like I can't quit the ethnic commission because it's just such a nice, fun thing to do, and it just brings people together, and I like that.
I'm looking forward to it. It looks like it's over the weekend. It's a 3-day event.
Yep, Friday night, Saturday all day, and then Sunday all day.
Yeah, that's exciting. I've seen the post, so I had to share it in the network as well. I'm making sure definitely that our friends and family can come out and support. I love the different enriched culture
Yeah.
that you guys are able to bring on the platform. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, Zimbabwe, it's your turn.
Hi, Crystal. My name is Joel, and I'm representing Zimbabwe. So this is our first year, just to give you a heads up, and it's not my first year going there. Like, I'll echo the sentiments of Jim regarding the festival. This is, since I started attending this, it's probably one of my favorite events throughout, as far as festivals in the Kansas City area, because, when I used to come to it was as an attendee. I always enjoy just going to see the different booths, getting to talk to different people, getting to try different foods, for the entire weekend. I used to make it a 3-day event for me. I used to go there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? Because there's always something different, and you're always going to see different people there. So for me, coming from abroad, this was also another way for me to meet people from different places. Because, when you come from abroad, you almost feel, when you meet people from different places, you almost have, even though you might come from different parts of the world, you feel like there's a connection there, right? Mm-hmm. And so this, I always used to ask myself, where is Zimbabwe? How come Zimbabwe doesn't have a booth? There's some other African countries that don't have one. So the last few years I decided, well, it's probably because no one knows how to go. Basically there's not that, as far as the population, there's not that many Zimbabweans here, or at least if they are, they don't know, they're out in, their own, work or life has got them busy. So I figured this is a way to at least make it known that, there is a small Zimbabwean community here. And like I said, if you haven't been there, it's a very great experience. And for me, this being our first year, going to the meetings, getting to talk to the different commissioners, just getting to know, the process and what's involved. It's been such an experience, such a happy experience for me. And I'm mad I didn't do this earlier. You always look back and like, why didn't I do this, many years ago, But, now that I'm in it, I'm so excited to be in it. And, I like I said, this is our first year having a booth. And we're just excited to be a part of it, no matter what. And Crystal, I know if you say to come in, pay us a visit. Pay all the booths. You will get something out of every booth. Regardless of where you go. Whether you find the food, there's a fashion show. There's there's dances. There's so much going on. But if you get a chance, try to at least go to all the booths if you can. If you have to go to 3 days, that's fine. Pay us a visit. Come talk to me. We'll discuss about anything Zimbabwe or Zimbabwe related or not. I'm gonna try and have a few gifts. Obviously we're gonna have information about Zimbabwe, information about the festival, and there's so much enjoyment to be had. So as you're sharing this, just tell people they can come there all 3 days or pick one day that's good for them. But it's honestly one of the best festivals in the Kansas City. And Kansas City has become almost like a mini melting pot. There's a lot of different, houses here in Kansas City that, you get to see when you attend this festival. So as you're talking to people, just, make them aware that it's over the weekend, so if they can do it one day, it's a 3-day festival, and they won't be disappointed. Honestly, no matter what day they go, they won't be disappointed. It's going to be a delight. It's going to be, and food, how can you go wrong with food and, different kinds of food and festivities. It's just a good time.
Right. Hey, and just to add on to that, Crystal, first I want to say Joel is like the model commissioner. He's been so fun to work with and talk to. I feel like I'm so excited to see him at this year's festival. It's going to be so neat having such a cool country added to it. But just to add on to what Joel was saying, every group in the festival, every group is its own little nonprofit group. We don't have a big corporation behind us, and there's no restaurants, we don't have a Chipotle booth, I'm sorry to say that, but every country is maybe the recipe from their grandma that they're making at the church kitchen. There's a lot of people that come to the festival and know they can only get that dish during these 3 days because it's only cooked at our festival. So it's different than a lot of the other. I've visited a lot of food festivals around the Midwest, and I've talked to people, and no one has ever told me they can find a festival like ours because it's not sponsored by a big corporation. It's not just a bunch of restaurants together. It's unique, nonprofit, cultural communities that are showing their specific food. It's just great. I just love it.
That sounds very exciting, especially with the traditions. And with that being said, I did have a question for Joe. In regards to the traditions in Zimbabwe, how is it different from the U.S. from what you've experienced since you've been here at a young age?
Yeah. So as far as traditions, obviously food is different. In Zimbabwe, we have tribes, right? So which is very different from what you have over here. Zimbabwe has many different tribes, but two main ones, right? So each tribe has their own language, So when you look at Zimbabwe as a whole, it's 90%, it's got a 90% literacy rate, right? So for the most part, people do speak, everyone speaks English. So there isn't a language barrier there. But when you talk about, the different ethnic groups, you have the Shona, which comprises about 70% of the population. Zimbabwe's population is about 15 million, right? 70% of that is Shona speaking, which is the tribe. And that's mainly the northern part of Zimbabwe. And then you go further south, which is the Ndebele. Two separate languages, two totally different languages. That's 20% of the population. The other 10% of the population is just a small little tribe. But the difference is, when you're coming from a country with, different languages, different cultures, different tribes, you learn to adapt, because over here, it's almost like when you come, people seem to relate Africa like a whole, they look at it as a whole, but when the way you understand Africa is, it's so different. You can go from different, countries that are neighboring countries, and the traditions are so different. Obviously, the language is different, the food is different. So the biggest adjustment for me coming here was obviously I mentioned the weather, the food, that was a big adjustment for me. I was young enough, so, it didn't bother me too much. It was just an adjustment. But, coming here, the one thing that I didn't get was how big this country is, right? Because I didn't get to visit the East or West Coast until I was probably 6 years, into the States. And my friends always used to call me because in Zimbabwe, for example, you can probably do one part of the country to the other side of the country, within, 8 hours, 9 hours. But you can't do that here. So my friends always used to ask me, so, they know I live in Kansas City, so, how come you're moving to New York this weekend? Someone said, think like it's a weekend trip. So for me, the adjustment was just getting a sense of how big this country is, because traveling, I didn't understand the whole state system. You have these different states, with their own capitals. It's one whole country. So that was a big adjustment, just, almost looking at a state like it's a country on its own, because you have the state, and, it's got, obviously there's federal law, but there's also state law, but it's got its own capital. I was trying to figure out, how does that work? Our country, we have one capital, but each state here has a capital. Obviously, there's, the U.S. capital, but each state has a capital. So that was a big adjustment for me, just kind of trying to learn, how this, how the system here works versus, how it works back home. And I was relatively young, so I wasn't, too involved in Zimbabwe, as, politics or the in-depth goings of Zimbabwe. But it was just an adjustment, just getting to know the differences between coming from a country that was recently new, like I said, Zimbabwe got its independence in 1980, so it was still adjusting from colonial rule, that was 1980, So colonial rule was, some of the names of the cities there were still British names. Obviously most of them, well, all of them have adjusted now. But when I left, some of those, you would call them states over there, but they're cities, they had British names, So, the adjustment, because the British American culture, even though it's different, it's more similar than African and American cultures. I don't know if that makes sense or if, that was a little bit off topic.
No, I can understand the adjustment, just from the hour distance of travel to the different food,
Yeah, and it's so different because Zimbabwe, they 8 hours ahead, right? So my parents will call me every now and then and forget. They'll call me and I'll pick up the phone at 3 a.m. and then they'll realize it, and go back to bed, I'll call you. I'm like, I'm up, So it's that adjustment where, you're 8 hours ahead and, it's an adjustment, but, once you get used to it, it's really not that big of an adjustment, And like I said, it depends on your age. I came here relatively young, so for me, adjusting wasn't that hard. The older you are, I think the adjustments become a little bit, more difficult, especially the climate. The cold weather, we're just not used to that, and I don't think I'll ever get used to that, which is so weird. I always tell people a funny story that when I came to this country, I was so fascinated by snow because for us, we'd never seen snow before, right? So this was almost like make-believe. So when I came here, I lived in the dorms the first year I was in college. So the first snowstorm, it was a spring semester. I came here in December. So the first snowstorm, it was when I was in my college, and I just wanted to be out there because this was almost like Hollywood make-believe because seeing snow on TV and experiencing snow is two different things. So I was just so fascinated by the snow. The cold didn't bother me that first semester, but that didn't take long. After that, first few months, I was like, I'm done with the cold weather. But it's just one of those things that I was just so fascinated by, and simple things like that. That's the one thing, I try to get out there, that these small little things that, you wouldn't think twice of, those are big things. Because I still remember vividly my very first snowstorm, and I was so excited, the adrenaline just kept me warm. I wasn't cold at all. But, as I've gotten older and I've gotten, used to the snow, it's, I don't really enjoy it as much. I withstand it, knowing that, spring is around the corner.
Well, can I tell you something? I've been here all my life and I'm still not used to it. So welcome to the club.
For the benefit of the people who just tune in and accidentally on purpose, what year is this for the festival, and why should people come, and where do they come from? What different cities or states do they normally come? I know you have 65 different countries who are involved in the ethnic enrichment festival, so could you kind of explain that so people just accidentally on purpose tune in?
Sure. This is our 43rd Ethnic Enrichment Festival. So it's been around for a while. I remember going to this when I was in high school with my mom and dad. And I'm a pretty old guy. So it's been around for a long time. What was the other question, MC?
It was, why should people come here? From what cities do they normally come here? I know it's a weekend. People from the Midwest normally gather out at the festival.
Well, I'll tell you, I know for a fact we're having people from Los Angeles come in. We've got some people from Portland, Oregon that have already told me they're coming in for the weekend. But it's really mostly the four-state area, Kansas and Missouri. I know quite a few families come from Omaha, so Nebraska, and a few people come in from Iowa. That's the biggest draw. I've met people from Arkansas coming. I don't know if they're coming this year, but it's getting a reputation as the festival to visit in the summertime.
So you normally have your festivals in Missouri, or do you go to other states?
We are a partner with the Kansas City Parks and Rec Department.
Okay.
They help us build the festival. It's all, we kind of build the booths. We're going to start that on Monday. It takes 2 weeks. And so, yes, it's always, for about the last 20 years, it's been at Slope Park. It's just a nice central location. It's a beautiful outdoor festival, and that's the way it is.
Now, what is the admission to get in?
Sorry, say that again?
How much does it cost to enter, and what about the parking facilities?
We don't charge for parking. It's free parking throughout our area, and we charge adults $5. But kids 12 and under are free. That's we think the most important people to learn about the diversity and just learn about how there's lots of different cultures and countries right here in Kansas City. So that's one of our big things is making sure kids get in no matter what. And
Mr. Wilson, one of the things you mentioned was your wife. What's the name of her business?
It's called Martech. It's a very small industrial supply parts company in Lenexa, Kansas. It's one of the suburbs.
Thank you, sir.
You went back to the kids. I know they go around and they go from booth to booth or whatever, and they have the people to put their little stamp on that for that particular city.
When they're at the gates, I make sure every family gets a program so they know what they can see, and I make sure every child gets a passport, and we print it up to look just like a U.S. passport, except it's not a real passport, but it looks just like a real passport. And those kids go around to Zimbabwe, and they're going to get a stamp right in their passport like you would if you're going through customs. They'll go to Mexico and get a stamp. So it's real nice. And at the end, they can go by our information booth. It doesn't have to be a totally full passport, but they just bring that passport to show a few stamps, and we've got a little prize for maybe some crayons or a coloring book or a fan or a toy. But we try to make every kid, it's kind of a mission for them to go out there and find different countries, but it's ours to make it, some kids want a reward.
If you just tune in, we have the first of a series of the Ethnic Enrichment Festival is out at Folk Park, and it's every year. We got the grandstand, and all around they got the different tents with a different company. All of them got different foods and diets and things like that. Like I was talking to Joe earlier, and Mr. Wilson already know those African countries, they run out of food quick. Oh, man. They don't, the rest of them, because, the Germans do their hamburgers and everything, and they have, what's my juice we talked about today, Joe? We talked about, I still got a bottle of it at home, we talked about. Well, I'll get your mouth watering and everything like that. But we talked about probably the Germans or whatever on the lemonade. But we have the, Joe, we talked about, you take grown trees and it's,
mango juice?
That's what?
Mango?
Yes, mango, yes.
Yeah, the mango juice, yeah. So, and, like I said, mango is very big in Africa. So, mango juice, it's, usually it's very pure. But yeah, I think that's what you were mentioning, that, that doesn't last. And, when you can get it, get it. But yeah, there'll be a lot of different types of food there. I mean, if you're a foodie, if you're a person who just loves to eat and loves different foods, you will not be disappointed here. There is so much, and that's what I used to do. I always used to be a little bit selective where I started because I knew I wanted to try everything and I wouldn't be able to. So I always used to make it a point, okay, I got to work on something because if I start in one spot, I'm just going to go to each spot and eat. So, but there's a lot of, delicious food to be had.
Yeah. I used to tell my son, he wanted to take his little high school girlfriend on a date. I said, tell your friend you're going to take her around the world in 3 hours or 4 hours. And so
let's add to that. Their food is very reasonable.
Yep. And we have 20 hours of entertainment. Every half an hour, each country gets a time on stage for 30 minutes to put on their best show. So we have it on our website. Hopefully I can tell you that, eeckc.org. and you can punch the festival, and the schedule of the performers will come up. So if you really wanted to see, like, for example, my wife is going to be at 3:30 on Saturday afternoon. Or Japan is at 12:30 on Sunday. Samoa is 9:30 on Friday. You can see all the different countries that are going to perform, and there's no charge to watch that if you're in the after the $5 admission. So that's kind of nice.
Well, you had me at mango. So I'll make sure I grab me something with mango in it. Definitely bring the kiddos out. I encourage those that are listening in to come and enjoy the festival as well. It's always a great time for us to come together, especially with everything that's been going on. And it's really, really encouraging, to get out and people want to see. Definitely looking forward.
Yeah.
Nancy, while we love food, what is your favorite part about the festival?
Are you sticking to me?
So what is your favorite part about the festival?
Well, what we used to do, we used to broadcast the festival out at Full Park. And so when we had different countries to come to us and tell about their country, and then some countries, they would tell you they don't speak English, but they could count that change now. But it's a different deal, and the people, they have their native dress, and the people just go around, it's around the grandstand, the different places, and they got jewelry, they got things of what the different countries excel in, and they have some of the items, like me and Joe were talking earlier, that I know the African country, they run out of their food first. So you got to jump in called oxtails and all that, and I remember, and then you got the Jamaican food, they run out of food, okay? And you gotta get there. Now I used to think that collard greens was a southern dish. Hey, collard greens all over the world, but they just have their different seasonings.
That sounds like a place people would love to be at, And I guess the best part about it is it's growing. That's the good part about it. Like I said, you got some Zimbabwe there. That's a beautiful thing. It's growing. That's always good.
Yep. He spoke of Missouri, but I was there, and a lot of people came down, not only Oklahoma, but St. Louis. And this broadcast is really being broadcast in most of the city of St. Louis and Ferguson and what have you. So you got a lot of this. The first is online, I will repeat. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Apple TV, it's on some podcasts in the 5 different countries. And the people, but they want to just tune in. They go to Ferguson, USA, Hot Talk Radio. And this particular show is on every Saturday, 5 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, our person in the production and producing, tell the people about your shows that you're doing. Now you expanded your days, haven't you?
Yes, I'm lunch with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce. And today's show was kind of interesting because this is the director of the National Black Chamber of Commerce with the Church and Bowl was broadcasting from the country of Colombia, where he was invited down there for the inauguration of the new president. And he's going to visit a couple of their cities while he's there, and he's going to have a delegation with 12 countries visiting with him also. But my show is called Lunch. We just come to campus. I'm telling you, lunch with Missouri Chamber of Commerce, and we're here from 1 to 3 o'clock every Saturday. And also, our show is going to be played every Sunday at 1 from 1 to 3, and also on Wednesdays from 1 to 3. And that's on Ferguson, USAHotRadio.com, and I've been hearing over 10 countries. And the best part of the MC said we all on the internet. Our podcast can be found on Spotify also.
Also, extend an invitation to our gentlemen and all the listeners. I know they got everybody listening to the show today, that the United Minority Media Association will hold this, it's celebrating 49 years, this Midwest Southeast Regional Conference in Kansas City on the 16th and the 17th of September at the Embassy Suites. And so I'm extending that personal invitation to the people. We created a class called Civic and Prestigious Class, where I ask each and everyone to join us, and the people at the Ethnic Risk, because when we first started doing it, I know KKFI tried to take credit for it, but we got a meeting that's coming Tuesday at 3 p.m. at the Westport Branch Library, and we're trying to get the people. I think we can get a lot of, since our motto is global, I think we can attract people from all over the different world that census people are here and support and commissioners at the Ethnic Enrichment Commission. So we're striving to do that, and we want to do an ongoing thing. It's just like when we're talking, when the people from Ferguson, St. Louis talk, you're reaching that market. That's they don't like for me to say this, but it's the second largest city in Missouri, okay? St. Louis is.
It's now official because our population has increased in that we are in our metropolitan area. We have so many, 88 small towns that's around St. Louis City. Add up. So when we have people in St. Louis County and St. Louis City together, we have over 8.5 people.
He's trying to compete by using the motto, Missouri, show me state.
We're not trying to compete, okay? That's the one thing that our city, unfortunately, Kansas City is a major city. Right now, it's considered to be a minor city because we have a population that's around about 300,000 people nowadays, and not what you guys have in Kansas City.
They have a saying that every St. Louis woman wear a diamond ring, and we heard talking about in South Africa about the diamonds, and in Zimbabwe we talked about the gold. So I know the women love to go to that country.
Well, my wife does have a diamond ring, in they gold and all that good stuff. So she loves the diamond, like most women do. Right, Crystal?
No lie, I can't. But it would be nice to see different places. Do you guys have a idea of where I could go if I wanted to be a tourist?
Well, are you talking about Kansas City in general?
Well, I mean, outside of Kansas, if I were to travel in your area where you're from.
Oh, yeah. So come over if you can. Yeah, definitely. Zimbabwe has got, and Zimbabwe, post-COVID, they're trying to get a lot of, tourism going. So they're opening up, and, they're giving, discounts, for traveling. But hey, I can give you definitely, if you do plan or, thinking about traveling to that part of the world, come see me at the booth. I can definitely get you some information. There are a lot of great places to see in Zimbabwe, all throughout the country. So there's the Victoria Falls, which I don't know if you've heard of. It's right on the border of Zimbabwe and Zambia. It's one of those places you have to go there to actually experience. There's what they call the Great Zimbabwe Ruins, where it's basically where the old chiefs used to preside and look over, their community. There's spectacular game reserves. So if you love safaris and you love, animals, Zimbabwe is a place for that. So there's a lot of places in Zimbabwe that, if you're in Zimbabwe and generally that part of the world as well, that if you are considering traveling, that, it's one of those places you have to go to experience. Photos don't do it justice. It's an experience that, once you go there, that you will wonder why you hadn't done it sooner. And, like they say over there, when you go there, time is not a factor. So the first thing you do is when you go there, you're going to remove your watch and not put it on, because the time thing it's not like here, it seems like when you're over here, you're in a rush to do everything. Over there, time just takes you, you forget about you're doing one thing and then the other, but before you know it, morning has come, evening has come, and you're just having such a good time. So you can't really time things, but it'll be an easy adjustment for you, because it's just a fun time. So if you are definitely thinking about traveling to that part of the world, please see me at the booth. And anyone out there, please I'd love to say hi. Just come and, come by the booth and, not just my booth, the other different booths. You can get so much just for, from talking to the people there, what you can get online, because those are people who have been there. People who give you the, in-depth discussions about, this is the place I like, and that type of thing you're not going to get online, right? So, for anybody that's interested or, anybody just wants to, know more about Zimbabwe or just see things, please pay me a visit and, pay all the other booths on the way a visit, It's going to be a great event, Honestly, that's what I used to do when I used to go to these events. I used to go to every booth and talk to somebody there and everything. Every time I went to a booth, I would learn something new, something that, I wouldn't get online or something that I didn't even thought of because, these are people who have been there and just give you those details that you're not going to get, just generic details from, when you search online.
Mr. MC, it's 5:55.
We're running out of time. Just kind of tell the people what countries are expected to be there this year.
You got that, Joel? Or you want me to get it?
Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
Well, yeah, there's every continent almost except for maybe Antarctica. We got China, Czech, Slovak, Germany, Croatia, Thailand, Ukraine, Samoa, Lebanon, Serbia, Sweden, Peru, India, Japan, Indonesia, Scotland, Iran, Iraq's going to be there, American Indians, Hawaii, Malaysia, Greece, Haiti, Philippines, Ireland, Colombia, Italy, Mexico. There's an African-American booth, Laos, Brazil, Vietnam, Israel, Japan, and Republic of China, Taiwan.
You must have a list in front of you.
Yeah, I did. Trying to catch them all, though I know we're running out of time.
Yes. One last question for you. How will COVID affect you guys this year? Expect a good turnout?
I think, the last 2 years were tough. We didn't get to do a full festival. We did a virtual festival one year, and last year we did a 2 hours each night festival and only had, a couple hundred people. But I think the Kansas City public is looking for this. And I think I'm hoping and I think we might break our record of more than 40,000 people coming through.
Wow. Okay.
So we'll let you know in a couple of weeks after it's over, but I feel like people are just aching to get out there and remember what Kansas City's about. I'm hoping and praying that everything stays smooth and the weather's fine and there's no new COVID or anything like that. But as it looks to me now, it looks like we're going to have good weather and we will have masks there if people want them. So, I want everybody to feel comfortable. I want everyone to try and make it out and just have a good time.
As a matter of fact, both of you gentlemen, I'm going to invite you back to be on my radio program sometime next month, give an update on about the festival.
Yeah, give us a shout. That's great. Sure.
Have y'all run out of words? I know we haven't been warned by our engineer to give us the time.
Yes, you have.
Well,
It's 5:58, sir.
One more time. The website for a lot of information about our group, the Ethnic Commission, is eeckc.org. And you can find out about how to be a member. You can find out who's going to be at the festival. We also have a Facebook page, the Ethnic Festival Facebook page. Look at that, and that'll show a lot of comments from people asking questions. Hey, are you going to have Jamaican jerk chicken this year? And, of course, the answer is yes. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to find out about it. It's August 19, 20, and 21, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And we'll be there. Our particular show will be the next one, the 13th, and then we'll be there on the 20th. And we want everybody to tune in and come out there the 19th to 21st. It's at Folk Park. It's at the Grand Ballroom Pavilion, what have you. And the people there, you can wear your own native dress. They do have special things for the people be singing and things like that. And if you don't have your own cheer to bring with you, they have some straw that you can sit on.
Yeah. And one last thing, MC, the neat thing is, if you're from like Zimbabwe and you didn't know there's anybody else from Zimbabwe, you can go to Joel's booth, and now you're going to have a community right here in Kansas City.
Correct. Come on over. The more the merrier, and you know it's an event that you don't want to miss, because you're gonna hear about it from your friends if you miss it, because the people who are gonna attend it are gonna be talking about it. So try to make it out there. 3 days, you know, weather permitting, everything's gonna be great. But there's so much to do there. You know, you won't get bored. There's so much to do, whether you come 1 day or 3 days. There's so much to see and do.
And I know we're about to end our show, today's show, but the next 2 weeks we'll have 2 different countries at the 13th and on the 20th. So be sure to tune in and come out there. They said the price is a nickel. In my language, $5. And then you got the free parking, and then there's some space, and they got security to watch the parking lot too, so you don't have to worry about that. And the people there to accommodate you, because they're happy to have you. And like they said earlier, this is the 43rd year, and Mr. Pryor, one of my teachers, he was one of the founders of the Ethnic Enrichment Commission.
And then MC, we can call it a wrap if you don't mind.
Thank you very much.
Well, before you
guys at the festival.
Hope so.
how can you guys be reached? We know we want the people to come out to the festival. What do want some inside information prior to? How can both of you be reached?
Well, Joel can be reached by going to the Zimbabwe booth. Everybody gets the program and just look in that program for the Zimbabwe booth and head that way. They're numbered. And if you just ask anybody that works at the festival, say, who's Jim Wilson, they'll point you in my direction. I'll have a big old green staff shirt on.
Yeah, you've been a faithful member, although they say behind every successful man there's a woman, but in this case it's vice versa.
Yep.
So it's good talking to you. We're about out of town, Mr. Scott Owens.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be in touch. I told you that we got a special meeting this coming Tuesday at 118 Westport Road at the Westport Library at 3 p.m. Join us there, and thank you very much, and always tune in to Ferguson, USA, Hot Talk Radio. Thank you very much, and we're out of here.